Hare Krishna. Thank you for joining this morning. This amazing Bhagavatam class, which is going on every day. And as you know, I'm not qualified. There are many more qualified devotees here. I am just doing my part, being HG Sri Prabhu's order to give class. So I seek your blessings and also prayers so that we can utilize this time the best possible way by glorifying Lord Krishna in one way or other. Am I audible?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Ji. Information. Okay, I got to give Kartal. So skip the Kirtan portion. Generally, we sing Jai Radha Madhav, but we'll skip that today and for the interest of time as well. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayemudiraye Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavat Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nanda Gopa Kumaraya Govindaya Namo. Hare Krishna. So we are reading from Canto 3, chapter 30, verse 14. Let me try to share the screen. This is Canto 3, chapter 30th, entitled Description of Lord Kapila's of Adverse Fruitive Activities. Verse 14. Tatrapt jat nirvedo priyamada swayam bhrut jaryopat vairupyo maranabhimukho grahi. Tatrapt nirvedo priyamada swayam bhrut jaryopat vairupyo maranabhimukho grahi. Tatrapt nirvedo priyamada swayam bhrute Jaryopat vairupyo maranabhimukho grahi. Word to word translation. I lost my there. Although ajata, api although ajat not arisen, nirveda aversion, riyomana being maintained, swayam by himself, rita by those who are maintained, jarya by old age, upat obtained, vairupya deformation, marana abhimukha approaching, grahi at home. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. The foolish family man does not become averse to family life, although he is maintained by those whom he once maintained. Deformed by influence of old age, he prepares himself to meet ultimate death. Purport by Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. Sri Gopal Prabhu. Family attraction is so strong that even if one is neglected by family members in his old age, he cannot give up family affection and remains at home just like a dog. In the Vedic way of life, one has to give up family life when he is strong enough. It is advised that before getting too weak and being baffled in material activities and therefore become deceased, one should give up family life and engage oneself completely in the service of the Lord for the remaining days of his life. Therefore, it is enjoined in the Vedic scripture that as soon as one passes 50 years of age, he must give up family life and live alone in forest. After preparing himself fully, he should become a sannyasi to distribute the knowledge of spiritual life to each and every home. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namah. Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayyam Tadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajata Sagana Raghunath Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानु सुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिय वंचाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः ओम विष्णुपदाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामी इति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देश तारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 Hare Krishna. So, let me quickly read the translation again. The foolish family man does not become averse to family life, although he is maintained by those whom he once maintained. Deformed by the influence of old age, he prepares himself to meet ultimate death. So, let me just. So, in this verse, Prabhupada explicitly talks about the situation of family man. Right now, what kind of family man is being referred here? With your permission, I do like to kind of establish little background. So I am going to read just the translation of some of the prior verses, just to set the context. What kind of what kind of grahastha we are referring. So read from verse number 6, at 6 to 14. I will very quickly will do. From again this chapter, it talks about aversion. I mean, for fruitive activity, what is the effect of the fruitive activity? What really happens when we are indulged in those activities? So such satisfaction with one's standard of living is due to deep-rooted attraction for body, wife, home, children, animals, wealth, and friends. And in such association, the conditioned soul think himself quite perfect. Always burning with anxiety, such a fool always performs all kind of mischievous activities with a hope which is never to be fulfilled in order to maintain his so-called family and society. He gives heart and sense to a woman who falsely charm him with Maya. He enjoys solitary embrace and talking with her, and he is enchanted by the sweet words of small children. The attached householder remains in his family life, which is full of diplomacy and politics, always spreading miseries and controlled by acts of sense gratification. He acts just to counteract the reaction of all his miseries. And if he can successfully counteract such miseries, he think that he is happy. He secures money by committing violence here and there, and although he employs it in the service of his family, he himself eats only a little portion of the food thus purchased, and he goes to hell for those for whom he earned the money in such a irregular way. When he suffers reverse in his occupation, he tries again and again to improve himself, but when he is baffled in all attempts and is ruined, he accepts money from others because of excessive greed. This kind of householder has been referred here. Thus, the unfortunate man, unsuccessful in maintaining his family members, is bereft of all beauty. He always thinks of his failure, grieving very deeply. Seeing him unable to support them, his wife and others do not treat him with the same respect as before, even as miserly farmers do not accord to some treatment to their old and worn out oxen. The current verse, the foolish family man does not become averse to family life, although he is maintained by those whom he once maintained. Deformed by influence of old age, he prepares himself to meet ultimate death. So, when I was reading these verses, I remembered, heard prior class as well, and I remember Yugal Kishore Prabhu's statement when he made last week about this chapter. He says that we should all read just the translation of this whole chapter. This chapter is so, I would say, both beautifully and with full, power, and it describes a situation of family man who's utilizing his life only for material pleasure. Again, it's not fully applicable to devotees, but this chapter is very heavy, right? So even we just read the translation of this whole chapter, it's scary. I'm sure many of you read it, and if not, I strongly recommend, on behalf of the team, to please, and as you should mention, please read the whole chapter. I mean, it goes to the extent of what happens to the body. I mean, future verses, explain that, not able to breathe, mucus come out of the body. That time, agent of Amraj takes away body, and a different, hellish activities are also described. It's really scary, right? And in the purport also, Prabhupada uses very heavy word. He says he remains at home just like a dog, right? Think about Prabhupada is calling, and dog is, when Prabhupada mentioned dog, he's not referring to the dog which is like in American standard, where dog is given full VIP treatment throughout. There are families who own the dog here in America who change their day-to-day life. They accommodate, or they change their daily activities routine to accommodate all the needs of dog that they're keeping in house as pet. Prabhupada actually referring to the dog, we won't give the value. So that's how Prabhupada compares. A very strong word that Prabhupada uses. And again, Prabhupada is not using this word just out of the blue, right? Bhagavatam uses this kind of comparison in prior canto. Actually, in the first canto, 30th, I think, 13th chapter, right? and where how to say, where Vidura, use this word dog for Dhritarashtra. And who's Dhritarashtra? Dhritarashtra is one point of time he was ruling the whole world. I mean, again, he was a representative of Pandu, but he was ruling as Hastinapur king. He was ruling entire Bharatvarsha, right? And Vidura, when he comes from pilgrimage after war is over, all the Kauravas are killed, Yudhishthira is ruling, and Dhritarashtra is living. Yudhishthira and all the family, all his extended families in Hastinapur. When Vidura comes, and he in alone, I mean, in the night he chastised Dhritarashtra. He says, as time of, we are all living entity, and anyone who's under the influence of Kala, we have to give up this material body. We have to give up this material body. What to speak of our, wealth, children, and all other things. We have to give up this body. He says that your father, brother, well-wisher, everyone is dead, right? You have almost at the end of your life, and I'm just reading some of the verses. He says, you have been blind from your very birth, and recently you have become hard of hearing. Your memory is shortened, and your intelligence is disturbed. Your teeth are loose, and your liver is defective, and you are coughing up mucus. Very similar verse that comes in this chapter. He says, all your organs are failing, your liver is defective, and you're coughing mucus. And then he says in verse 23, chapter 13, he says, alas, how powerful are the hopes of living being to continue his life. Very similar to the, in the current chapter 330 we are talking about, that you're living like a household dog and eating remnants. Pandavas killed all the sons of Dhritarashtra, and Dhritarashtra is living with the killers of his sons. I mean, it's his own part, right? He is the one who did not stop the war. He is his karmi that war happens. I mean, he's the main person responsible, as our scripture says, and many of the class that heard that as a king, it's his responsibility. So he is living under the care of the very people who killed his son, who defeated in the war. I mean, out of respect, because he's their uncle, so they are taking full care of him without any hesitation and giving him full respect. But from the Dhritarashtra perspective, he is actually living like dog in the family. And that's what Vidura says. So Prabhupada make very similar comment here, that foolish family men who have not taken up the spiritual process, and he is at his fag end of his life, he has to live with his family member. He has to be maintained by the very same family members whom he was maintaining earlier, right? And if you see our joint family, that's what happens. And family man, I mean, in this case, old family person who's been maintained by his own, son and the grandsons and all, he will not be respected properly, because now earlier he was giver, but now he's taker. A lot of people can't take it. It is very difficult for anyone to accept the situation. But practically, that is what happens, right? One way or other, at the fag end of his life, we are dependent on the people whom we were providing care. So if this family man, if we don't utilize the time that we have when his body is capable, right, in controlling the sense desires, he will not be able to prepare for what's coming next, right? It is very easy to think that, okay, once, we get to the, a certain age, we'll retire, we'll control our senses and control our needs and live happily in a corner with very minimal, support. But unless we practice throughout, it is not possible. It's absolutely not possible. I heard in a lecture that a devotee was having a discussion with one of his Karmi friend. And Karmi friend says, okay, you talk about next life. I don't believe in next life, right? Whatever faith I follow, right? We don't believe in next life. So all the teaching that you talk about, that if you don't do devotional service, your next life will be impacted and you'll take a birth, lower species. That doesn't apply to me because I don't follow the teachings which says that incarnation is even possible. Even though there are hundreds of proof there, their YouTube video fulfilled, their near death experiences are fulfilled, but there are some people who just don't want to believe it. Again, influence of Maya. So devotees explaining that, for a second, let's say there is no afterlife. This life is end. But think about what is going to happen if we don't control our senses or practice controlling our senses and the desires. He says that right now, let's say person is, 20, 30-year-old. He has a lot of sense desires, right? And he has sensual pleasure, doing all those activities, whatever the pleasures are, right? You can utilize. As time goes by, since you are indulged in satisfying your senses, as a proven fact, right, that when our senses are such a way that more we try to satisfy, more they demand, right? So as time progresses, our desires of sense gratification will keep on increasing. But as time goes by, parallelly, our body will not be in a position to enjoy those sense desires, right? Let's say someone turns to from 20, 30, turns to 50, 55, right? In that stage, body is started deteriorating, but senses, the sense enjoyment and the propensity to enjoy material pleasure is increased multifold as compared to what he was in 20, 30-year-old, because he's constantly satisfying. So this is not cooperating. So then this person comes to, artificial means, right? They take different shots, injection, plastic surgeries, whatever that is, in order to still be in a position to look good, feel good, have that energy to continue what they want to continue for sense gratification. And the person comes 70s, 80-year-old. Now desires are, even higher, like desires are constantly, propensity is constantly increasing, but body is not capable to handle those. We say word, right? Satya gaya hai, right? After 60, 70, that's what happened, right? People don't know what they're talking, that, they're always cranky, they're always irritated, they're always ready to fight and all those things. There's a reason behind it. Because propensity to enjoy senses is increasing, but body is not capable. So the person in that age, he's always agitated. Because Bhagavad Gita says, right, when you contemplate, when your lust of enjoying anything, that don't satisfy, you become angry, right? So this person is always angry and cranky. That's why I say, satya gaya hai. The basic reason is this only, because person wants to enjoy certain things and he's not able to, right? It's because of age and body limitation. So the devotee explained that if we don't control our propensity of enjoying material elements, will be very, very miserable in this life itself. Forget about afterlife, right? Even though we don't believe, some aspects of people don't believe in afterlife, in this life itself we will be miserable. Where we know as devotees that there is afterlife. There's a second, there's a next birth. Depends upon what we are doing. We are constantly shaping the next life, right? Next birth. Again, for devotees, we don't have to worry, because Prabhupada and Krishna intervene and we'll have a better life, or we'll have at least human life, because chanting, and that's the faith that we have. So not to discourage, but to understand that we are in a very, very, risky situation here, right? And it's a very heavy verse, which compares straight away to a dog, which is like stray dog, which no one cares. He's just completely dependent upon his master. He's not been taken care. All those heavy things, right? And very similar, we have Kailash's story, right? And I don't want to go more detail, but that also align in a similar lines, that unless we are frustrated with material life, we a lot of time we are not, even though it's served in a silver platter, I'm talking about myself, unless we are really frustrated with our material life, it's very difficult for a living entity, again I'm talking about myself, you all are exactly right, to take up the devotional service seriously, right? And some of these verses are, and Prabhupada's some purports are actually designed to make us think hard, make us scared, make us actually disgust about our material life, so that we can think seriously to come out of this material life, right? This is right. When we go from one place to another, there are two reasons, right? One, and sometimes both are applicable, sometimes one is applicable, right? One is we want to reach somewhere, right? That is why we go there, right? And second is we want to just come out of the current situation, or come out, or remove, or come out of this current place or situation. So whenever we transition from one situation to another, there are either we want to get there or we want to get out of here. And in this case, Bhagavatam clearly explained that why we want to reach, why we want to do devotional service, because we want to relish the devotional service, the company of devotees, and serve Krishna. Because that's our aim, to reach there, right? And also, some of these purport explains why we should get out from here. So both things are applicable. We know why we have to get out, and we know why we have to reach there. So if we understand this message clearly, maybe with Krishna's mercy and Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj's mercy and blessings, we'll be able to make progress in the right direction. We'll be able to purify our consciousness, control our sense desire and material hankering, so that we can make progress and actually do the actions which are expected out of us as devotees, as grahastha. Many of us are grahastha, and as human being, right? So again, I was contemplating on how to realize that we are in a disgust situation, right? I mean, I was one example comes to my mind is, again, I would prepare for it, so I may be making mistakes. So when we, I used to, long back, I used to watch WWF, right? And after some time, I mean, I initially was very fascinated, right? Okay, wow, there's a big people fighting with each other, really hurting each other, throwing from left and right, jumping on each other, really hurting. Then I learned, and I also kind of realized that a lot of these fights are fake. They are really not hitting each other. They are acting that they are hitting each other, one by one. It's kind of a treaty going on, right? It's like, well, this is all fake. If it is a fake, why am I investing time on this? In my earlier state, I mean, I don't. So, like, how disgusting it is that very precious time I was spending on watching something which is fictitious. Some people take take tickets and spend money, time, all those things to watch these kind of things. Now, if you take the example of movie as well, right? First of all, we, as devotee, we already know that we are an illusion, right? This whole world, I mean, we are completely under the care, so-called care of Maya Devi, which is completely keep us in illusion. So first of all, we are already in illusion, and being the state of illusion, we are going, a lot of us, I'm talking about myself, watching different movies, right? There are a lot of people wants to watch movies and serials and whatnot, bro. So first of all, we are already in illusion. We are paying money, putting time and effort, which is we don't have, to watch another level of illusion, right? The story is fictitious, the characters are fictitious, they are not really, whatever is happening on movie scene, that's not reality, even from material world perspective. So we are already in illusion, and we are going so deep to watch another level of illusion. So think about the situation. So if we really take this, try to contemplate on this, it disgusts us, right? Prabhupada compare this whole life as like a dream, that we are living. Once we realize our position, we realize, then we know theoretically, but we'll realize in reality that yes, it's a dream. So we don't have to spend too much time and effort here in acquiring material pleasures. Focus more on what's actually needed to devotional aspects, right? So kind of wanted to, I don't know why it came to, just want to touch upon. And in fact, Kunti Maharani also mentions, right, that lot of time, kind of jumping ahead, that though our many of aspect we can learn that our life is supposed to be disgusted, but many of us, including myself, I mean mainly myself, don't even realize that we are in a disgust situation. We are happily enjoying our life, thinking that it's perfectly okay. There are some challenges here and there, but life is good. It's really not that bad. A lot of people, there's a challenge because a lot of people don't take to devotional service because they don't think there is a problem in their material life. And I was talking to Kunti Maharani's prayer. She says in her prayers that Janma, basically high birth, nice opulence, nice education, and people who are beautiful. These 4 or 5 things basically are the major hindrance in devotional service. Because people who have these qualities, whether they're high parentage or whether opulence is, riches, beauty, strength, education, they don't consider the need to come out of the situation because they think, oh, it's perfectly okay. I have all these things, so my life is good. So why I have to try to change it? But and these things are actually detrimental to spiritual progress. She says that they cannot approach to Supreme Lord Shri Krishna sincerely, but people who don't have these, no, they're bereft of all these, they can very easily approach Krishna. So, and Bhagwan also says, right, in 10th canto 88th chapter, he says that if in order to show the special mercy on some people that I really like, right, I deprive from their wealth, right, their relative friends, so that they can actually realize, they get frustrated, right, and they take up the devotional service. They come to me, they actually turn towards me, right, and then I show the special mercy because now they are wholeheartedly turning to me because they have finally understood that this life is, they have to be, that this life is not meant for them. They actually feel frustrated and disgust with their current life, and and come out, and actually sincerely wants to come out, and they get determination, real determination to come out. So based on all this, we know that there would be a time that will be discussed, right? Whoever of us who are in a situation that our body is still functioning nice, working good, again talking about myself, who's still under lots and lots of material hankering, not talking about myself, that if we realize, if we understand this, we'll start making progress in controlling the sense desires to actually to prepare ourselves on the fag end of life, where we are supposed to preach, give up the material life completely, and utilize the time in preaching others. But that won't happen immediately, right? So we have to prepare ourselves in order to come to the stage where with very less resources, just our own, we are able to preach. And again, I'm cutting kind of a little short because of interest of time is 8:56 already. There's a small instance. I mean, Indra Swami Maharaj, and I think one more sannyasi, they were walking in Vrindavan, very nice, situation. They saw a lot of nice things. And the sannyasi says to Indra Swami Maharaj that, so nice if you could, if you could live here, right? And Swami Maharaj said, yes, definitely, but in next life, because in this life, based on Prabhupada's instructions, we have to preach, we have to travel and preach. And many times we have heard, it's very true, that if we are following Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, preaching is not optional. We have to preach. There are different aspects of preaching, right? We all know. Again, I'm repeating for myself. There are some actions which are directly related to preaching. There are some which are indirectly related to preaching. Like for example, giving class, outright book distribution. That's a straight preaching, right? Talking about strangers and people in general about Krishna consciousness, the value of devotion. distributing prasad, right? Our own behavior we are preaching. A lot of time new people comes in the temple and they get attracted just by the way devotees are talking to each other. They're joking, they are but fully respect, they are paying obeisance to each other, they are glorifying each other, they are showing very nice relation and affection to each other. Again, not just to show, but in reality they are feeling affection towards each other's devotee. I mean, devotees show affection to each other by these behavior they preach. In fact, I heard that even deity worship is actually preaching, right? When pujari dresses the deities, it's said that we should dress in a consciousness that Krishna, I am dressing, I'm putting my effort to dress you. You already, you're actually dressing yourself. I'm just assisting you, and maybe your beauty, right, will attract others. So this nice dressing, this nice decorations will attract people, and because mm, they get attracted, they'll take your name, and slowly they will their heart will purify just by taking your darshan, and they will take up the process. We should have that consciousness, and if we are not having this consciousness, then technically deity worship, dressing may not be that effective. Again, Krishna is beautiful, so he'll still do, but from our perspective, will miss the opportunity of dressing them nicely in that consciousness. So every aspect of devotion is preaching, right? Assisting in services, right? Doesn't have to be direct deity service, but any kind of backup service, anything which help the direct or indirect service is preaching. So all we have to do is do our process nicely in the right mood, in the right consciousness, so to prepare ourselves, right? And as we know, right, this whole movement is Krishna conscious movement, right? Prabhupada very clearly says Krishna conscious. So our action matters, but more than our actions, our intentions matters. Krishna is bhavgrahi, right? And I was reading a little more. It is like the double-edged sword, right? Krishna being bhavgrahi is not always a good thing, or I don't want to say that way, but because since Krishna is bhavgrahi, even the person who is engaged in material activities, but if his consciousness is Krishna consciousness, if he's doing all those material activities, more applicable to grihasthas who are not living in temple and they have to deal with a lot of material aspects of their life. If they're doing those activities, keeping Krishna in center, when they are working, they are thinking that they have the right understanding that they are earning, they are doing this job in order to earn money, so that money and resources and facilities can be provided to devotional service. They can maintain their family in a nice devotional atmosphere. Then because of the right consciousness, their material activities are also devotional. But same time, if we are engaged in direct devotional service, direct, something related to temple, we are in temple sometime, but consciously we are somewhere else, or we are thinking about something completely non-devotional, then our devotional service, though it's devotional service, the action that we are doing may not have that great impact that we are hoping for or that's expected. So we always have to be very, very careful, watching our thoughts, watching our intentions, and pray constantly that, hey Krishna, hey Guru Maharaj, please bless us that our consciousness remain always in check, right? So and Krishna, when Krishna sees the right intentions, Krishna arranges things in a total different way, right? Krishna supports in total different unexpected way. And I was hearing to a lecture, and there comes a small story about a book distributor who was distributing book in Holland, right? He was distributing books. Every time he goes to office, he'll distribute books. He always carry the big box of books. Some people complained about him, office people. So police came, and then devotee realized, oh, if I get caught with the books, I don't know what will happen to me, right? So he literally, with the book, big box of book with his hand, he ran from the scene. right? And a police is chasing him. He's running, from police, and after all these streets and running, he came to almost dead end. Like, he's okay. There's no way to go. Then he saw a small door. Like, okay, there's no other way. He just got in the door, and then it turned out that was the side entrance of a big hall, right? Big hall, and the stage program going on, and this guy entered directly on the stage. This program was about to end, and they were expecting a gifts for everyone, and this devotee directly landed on the stage. And I mean, since he was a seasoned devotee, he immediately understood very easy, and the person who was quoting the show, he says, oh, now this person is here with the gifts for everyone. So what kind of gifts you have for everyone? I mean, this devotee, okay, that's a great opportunity, and he distributed the book, all the books that he has, as gift to others, to all the people who are assembled there. It's a big number of people. And then the the coordinator asked, okay, what is the cost for this? And he got a big money as well for all the books. So basically, he was able to sell all the books right there. So Krishna arranged the whole situation that he could distribute the books to the big audience. And it turns out, very interestingly, that the gathering was Holland's butchers gathering. Right? That was like when I heard the Krishna. So it's almost impossible to distribute the books to the gathering of butchers. Was here Krishna arranged through this devotee. He saved him from police, and also, through him, all the butchers got the books. I don't know what happened to all the butchers who got the books. What happened? Maybe many of the life would have been changed. But if our efforts are sincere, then Krishna arranges the good things in preaching, right? So this devotee could preach to a lot of people, the butchers people, who got the mercy in terms of Prabhupada's books. So there are many stories and things related to material hankering, how to control, what to do. Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, right, that by constant abhyas, we'll be able to control the material desires. Will slowly start decreasing, and they say that's a barometer. If we are sincere in our devotional service, our material hankering thoughts and desires will come down, and the desire to do more devotional service will increase, right? So that's kind of a barometer. So we should always watch our thoughts, especially when no one around us, or which direction our thoughts are going. Are we more inclined to enjoy material pleasure, or we are more inclined to do devotional service and give ourselves out to common people for our and for their devotional progress? So I know it's 9/6, it's working day, so I will kind of end the class here and request everyone to please let me know your thoughts, your comments, and your corrections there are any in this class. Again, as you may have noticed, I'm not the speaker, I'm not the preacher, just trying to follow the instruction given to me yesterday to take this class today. Hare Krishna, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Samir Gaur ki jai. This time I welcome your thoughts, comments, corrections. Am I audible?
Yes, Prabhu. Thank you so much for the class.
Yeah. Shyam Kishore Prabhu, or any senior devotees, any corrections, please feel free to let me know. If not, we'll end the class and we'll continue the class tomorrow.
Roji, very nice class. Thank you. You are speaking from your heart. I can I can see that. Thank you for sharing. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji, for kind words.
Hari Bol.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you very much once again. I beg your forgiveness from your lotus feet for all the mistakes that may have committed. Uh, if you find something useful, all credit goes to Srila Prabhupada and various devotees whose classes and words help me speak this, and especially Kulkishore Prabhu, Shankar Prabhu, their classes, a lot of material come from them. And if there are any mistakes, they are purely mine. But I know for sure that message is pure. So with that, thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
HG Sri Gopal Prabhu ki jai.
Ved God.
Kripa sindhu bhyo patitanam yo Vaishnavibhyo namo namo. Ananta koti Vaishnava.
Hare Krishna.